So yesterday we had to take down a couple trees, but one was particularly large, and as we were roping it and preparing to take it down, we had a good suspicion that at least a part of the tree, branches if at the very least, was going to come into the garden space here and probably take out some of our posts and certainly take out some of our electric fencing. So we went ahead and took down one section of electric fence wire, and now today I'm going to put it back up, and I thought maybe this would be a good day just to show you a little bit about our electric fence system. So the tree we took down was up at the front of the cabin there. We measured it when it hit the ground at about 86 feet. So it came straight down this little roadway here, thankfully. We've bucked a bunch of it up already. And now we're burning branches and whatnot, but it went further down, kind of just where that white plastic is. It went a little bit past that. So it was this section of fence here that we took the wires down, and the tree did come down and landed a little forcefully against that fence post, but that's just minor, and one of these cross braces got knocked out and we put it back. So that was awesome. A little bit of bending of the pallet wood on the compost, but when a tree comes down and everyone is safe and the vast majority of your property is undamaged, you call it a win. Okay, so let's get started putting this fence back together, and I'll show you how we work it. So there's lots of different kinds of wire that you can run for your electric. We just have gone ahead and used this 17 gauge quarter-mile spool of electric fence wire. You can use heavier stuff, you can use the yellow and black braided colorful stuff. We're not trying to keep animals inside of this area, so it isn't that important to us that it stay visible. And the yellow and black stuff is great for just not accidentally running into it, or I think maybe for animals, having them be able to see where it is. For us, the element of surprise on a bear or a deer is actually beneficial. So that's what we've used. It does stretch a little bit, so I don't know, maybe somebody knows a better way to run it, but I do find I usually have to go through and kind of tighten the tension up on it after a couple months. So anyway, let's get started. So these guys here are called fence post insulators. They're just little plastic guides that help to keep the wires sort of in place and nicely lined up, but it also keeps them from touching the wood. You don't want the electric wire to touch wood or anything metal and have it ground out. So they run through the plastic. I'm going to put another one up here so that they come around the corner. Most posts just have insulators kind of on the face of them. I'll show you that later, but because this is going around a corner, we don't want the wire to touch the wood and ground out. So a few of those got broken and bent when the tree came down. So I'm going to put some new ones on. I'm not going to do kind of a how-to tutorial on electric fences because I am not an expert on them. But we have been running electric fencing around our property here, or at least around the gardens here, for about 10 years now, and it's worked really well. For us, the biggest concern is bears and then deer. Bears will definitely make their way into the garden eat what they want, dig up the compost, and just in general, we don't want them that close to the cabin. So we've found that usually they'll come by in the springtime, put one of their big wet noses on the electric fence wire, and then that's it. We don't see them again all season. The deer will definitely check the fence and see if there's a way they can get over it or if they can jump through it. They will absolutely do that, and then they will eat my garden out. So there's actually a deer down there right now on the other side, so I don't know if we'll be able to see him on the camera or not, but it's making a huffing noise. Speak of the little devils, there's one of them. There's another one further down I can see, but yeah, they're pretty as long as they stay out of my garden. Well, there's 3 of them. Anyway, back to the fence. This is why we have an electric fence. So off of the bottom corner of this garden space where the electric fence charging unit actually is, we have another little wire here. It's not connected right at the moment, if you can see that. This one is inside of a plastic rubbery tube that travels under this little roadway and over to the orchard. There's another one up above that goes over to the chicken coop. We'll just walk down quick and I'll show you that on all of the gardens we have gates, and for us the gate really just comprises of one of these handles and generally that little T connector down there. I have a few that I have to put T connectors in properly, but anyway, that's how you get in and out of each of the garden spaces, and that's how the power runs from one enclosure to another enclosure. It's just through these little wire connections inside of a insulated plastic tube under the ground. There you go. Okay, here's the little rundown on how the whole electric fence system works. This box right here, kind of in the middle of our garden, has the actual charger unit on the side of it. This one is a, I don't know if it's focusing, Magnum, it's a Parmac is the brand name, Magnum 12. It's got more than enough juice to it to deter the animals that we're worried about. Inside of that box is the battery that it runs on. This is not an electric one, it runs off a battery. And to keep the battery charged, we have a little solar panel trickle charger on top, and it's on a, I don't know if you can see, it's on a slight bit of an angle and it's facing south. So all summer long it does a really good job of keeping the battery charged. The winter can be a little bit more problematic, but we do tend to shut it down in the winter anyway because there's nothing happening in here. So let me just show you the inside of it. Okay, so inside of the box we have just a deep cycle battery. It's got 2 alligator clip cables that run over to the little tiny solar panel, the trickle charger, and then it has 2 more that go from the charging unit to the battery. We'll hook it back up. Then the charging unit itself sort of runs a little bit of a system check, make sure everything's good. Drops up, drops back, and as long as it's in the green, you've got a good amount of power and you're ready to roll. Their positive runs over onto the electric fence itself. The negative runs along here to one ground rod, and we have an additional ground rod further down the line that it goes to. Those just make sure that there's a connection down into the soil deep enough that you're going to maintain some moisture. And that's all there is to it. Pretty simple system. So normally this fence system doesn't require much of anything in the way of maintenance. It just takes care of itself for the most part. We do shut it down in the winter, like I said, turn it back on in the springtime, and that's about it. So because this was an occasion where I did need to come down and do some repair on the fence, I thought it would be a good chance to bring the camera and show you how the system works for us. So if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're got any questions, put them in the comment box and I'll do my best to answer, and maybe think about subscribing to the channel. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.